What's up guys, Garrett with SelfTaughtDev. Today we are going to go over my top 5 VS Code extension recommendations to be a more productive developer. First up, we've got Prettier Code Formatter. What this does is automatically formats your code on save, saves you a lot of time in the long run. If you break it down, you're only saving like maybe half a second or a few seconds at a time, but if you add that up over a month or a year or over your entire dev career, you're gonna save a lot of time with this. And this is what it does. So let's say we've written some code and or maybe we just copied and pasted this somewhere and our indentation is messed up. This isn't indented properly. These are indented too much. And you've got ESLint as well, and it's complaining about the indentation. If you didn't have Prettier, what you would have to do, and sadly this is what I have to do at work, is click and manually fix all of the indentation here and make sure they're at the appropriate indentation marks, I guess. But if you've got Prettier Code Formatter, let's mess this up again. All we have to do is press Control S to save, and as you can see, it automatically formats that. If we delete all those spaces and save, it automatically aligns these, make sure all of these are indented one space from the container or parent element. And it just saves time with formatting. Definitely recommend it. It also saves time during code reviews too, if you have anybody in your team who's very opinionated about how the code should look. On one of my jobs, we would spend a little bit of time during code reviews talking about the formatting and arguing about that, and implementing Prettier in your code base will prevent that. It's probably not gonna make everybody happy, but that's kind of how Prettier's set up. Nobody's gonna be 100% happy, but it is going to have clear coding standards that it's going to enforce across your code base and keep everything consistent. So that is the first one I recommend. The next one I would recommend checking out is GitHub Co-pilot. We did a longer video on this one last week. If you need to see that, check in one of the corners up here or in the description. I'll have that video linked up. But this is basically an AI pair programmer. It uses GitHub's code base as a data set and OpenAI's text predictability and text interpretation models, combines those and helps you churn out code a lot faster. So I've got this little test.js file here, and we're just going to say const add equals an arrow function, and it's guessing that we want to make a function that adds two numbers together. So we can just press tab and it creates that. If we press enter, it automatically thinks we're going to start writing a subtract function next, which we were. So we can just press tab and we can keep going, and we can say const multiply, and it's making a multiply one. And then if we keep going, it's going to say, okay, are you going to try and do divide next? So it can kind of guess what we're going to make. As we keep going, it thinks, hey, do we want to export these? We don't. We're actually going to say write a jest test for add, and then we're going to say it. Nope, not item, it. It. I don't want to make item. Stop doing that. That's annoying. There we go. Should add two numbers. And then it spits out the test for that. And then we can just add a semicolon there. And then we've got our test for the first function. Obviously, this is a very, very basic, simple example. But that's kind of what it can do at a base level. Again, if you want more information on that, check out the video from last week. I'll have more information and show you how to add that to VS Code. But that is number 2. Number 3 is going to be import cost. That's this one here by Wix, and it's basically going to show you the cost when you import files. So if we go to the top here, ignore this trash heap, something I wrote a few years ago, but it's saying, hey, React is 7.4 kilobytes, gzipped, it's only 3 kilobytes. And then it's telling us how big React Netlify Identity GoTrue is, as well as React Hooked Form. And this is great if you're trying to optimize performance, see how big packages are, and you can make better decisions based off of knowing how much data or how big what you're importing from that package is. If we adjust this, actually, I'm curious, if we say instead of use form, if we delete that and say we're going to delete the US and say star, so import all from. Okay, cool. So it does tree shake kind of, and if we're going to import everything, it says it's 24.9. But if we were just importing the use form here, it's only 18.9. So that's interesting. But that's another good one to check out if you're working on any kind of performance optimization. Number 4 is Turbo Console Log. I don't think I actually have this installed on my computer I use for YouTube. Turbo Console Log. And we'll install this. And what this does is, since a lot of developers are going to use console log quite a bit, this makes it easier to churn out those console log statements. If we go here, let's say we want to, do we have any variables in here? I actually need a variable somewhere. Let's just go here, and we're gonna say Control-Alt-L, and there we go. It spits out this turbo console log and says that we're in test.js on line 2, and we're console logging add. Now this is kind of a contrived example, but you get the point. All you have to do is highlight what you want, press Control, Alt, and L, and then it spits out the console log for that. So helps speed up that a little bit and formats it nice and pretty so you can tell exactly where the console log is and what the result you're outputting is. So if you had this one console logged, this one console logged, and this one console logged, and you didn't have the test.js line 4, line 6, line 2, or the add, and you're just console logging that. So this might be useful for people who don't do this already. If you just console log the value like that, if you're using like React or some other application where this value, where add might be called multiple times, these might not be called in the same order either. So it might call subtract first and then add. And if this is 7 and that's 5, you're expecting add to be called first, but subtract is called first. So it's going to say 7 and 5. But in reality, you're thinking it's calling add. Hope this is making sense. It'll help with knowing the order the functions are called in as well. So that's another reason I recommend it. Now, the last one I'd recommend, number 5, is Git History. What this does is let you see the file's history or the line's history. What we can do is go to a file here. We'll just right click and go down to Git View File History, or press Alt-H, and then it opens up the Git history, and we can see all of the commits in which this file was touched. So let's go look at this one, and we're looking at the new user index.jsx. So let's find new user index.jsx here. And it looks like it's this one. Looks like I might have renamed it. So if I hadn't renamed it and this file still existed, we could just click workspace, and it would let us compare the file. It would show us the diff of the file in this commit versus presently, or we can just click view and we can see what the file looked like in that commit. Obviously it'd be a little bit more helpful if we had the actual diff, if the file was named the same, but nah. That's kind of what it's used for. You can quickly identify, it will help you quickly identify when bugs were introduced or like what changes might have happened. You can see what commit it was associated with, or like hopefully why the commit was needed, depending on how you structure your Git commit messages, but helps debug and find solutions to problems faster. So those are my top 5 VS Code extensions for 2023. Definitely recommend checking those out. I'll have them all in the description as well. If you've got any other extensions you think I should check out or other people should check out, leave those down in the comments below. I'd love to learn about them. And check them out. Give me a thumbs up if this helped you out and you learned something new, or if you like any of the extensions I talked about. Hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the content I'm putting out. And I think that's about it for this one. So I will catch you guys next time. Peace.
Round 1.